Good morning, friends. How the heck are you this fine Friday morning? Settle in, grab yourself a cup of coffee. I will be right with you. All right, friends, jump on over to mikecameron.ca/live because we got a few new options today. We're going to do a little bit of a poll to kick us off. So I will give you a minute or two, but the poll options that I'm going to be talking about are only available on mikecameron.ca/live. So I hope you will join me over at mikecameron.ca. Drop me a note in the chat once you get there. If you get there, let me know you're there, or drop me a note in the comments here. I am trying to watch both, but it's not always super easy. There's Anne. Anne is on Facebook. How are you, Anne? I know you keep coming back here, but I want you over on the website because we're gonna do some interactive stuff today. We're gonna do a couple of polls. Today we are going to talk about how to be a good friend, even when you don't know what to do, because this one has come up. This one has come up for me a few times. Sorry, I'm having a look at what Anne has to say. Hey, Shane, how you doing? I'm there. Even got the page, just won't start. All right, I don't know what to tell you. I'm gonna go. Oh, Brian's there. So it's working at least to some extent. Hey, good morning, Shane. Good morning, Brian. Happy Friday. Yeah, so welcome to Men Up with Mike. My name is Mike Cameron. If this is the first time you've been here, this is a show where we talk all things leadership, personal development, men's mental health, and we do it all through the lens of what it means to be a dude. Because let's face it, as much as we've got a lot of good things going for us as guys, we do absolutely have a lot of weight, a lot of pressure that adds up on us. Hey, good morning, Keith. How are you, my friend? You'll see me looking all over the place here because I got monitor there, I got monitor there, I got a monitor down there, and I'm trying to keep up with you guys. Yeah, Shane, if you can go over to mikecameron.ca/live, I would greatly appreciate it. You don't have to. I want you to stick with me. So I don't want to make it difficult. That is the last thing that I want. But my hope is that I can start doing a few more things when it's on my platform, when it's on mikecameron.ca. So that is the hope. And I'm not quite so beholden to Facebook and LinkedIn and YouTube and all of the like. So again, today I'm going to try something a little bit different, a little bit new. And again, I'm looking all over the place, so bear with me. So let's open a poll. If you're on the website, there should be a poll popping up in the chat. Let me know if you see it. Brian, do you see it there? Unfortunately, I got to toggle back and forth between the poll and the chat. So the question on the poll is, how do you recognize when someone needs your support? How do you recognize when a friend is in need? How do you recognize when somebody that you care about needs support? Brian, if you're still on the website, let me know if it is there. Shane, if you get there, let me know that the poll is there. Somebody's voting. All right, so it's there. The poll is there. I appreciate that. Again, I got to toggle back and forth. Shane is here. Thanks, brother. How do you recognize when someone needs your support? They're a little more withdrawn than usual. They start canceling plans is option 2. They often seem totally exhausted. Or D, all of the above. And I think the answer, hopefully, is pretty obvious to you. And that is that the answer is all of the above. Oftentimes when people are struggling and they really don't know what to do, they don't know how to ask for support, they don't know that they're allowed to ask for support. Sometimes they'll just start to turtle. They'll start to withdraw. They'll start canceling plans. You may notice that they just seem completely exhausted. Or the flip side of that, sometimes you will see they start over functioning. They start to hyper perform. They start to work incredibly hard to sort of overcompensate for that feeling of struggle, that feeling of overwhelm. So there are lots of different ways that this manifests, lots of different ways that this presents in others. But I thought we would try doing this poll. So let's see, what does show do? Oh, look at that. I can put it right on there. All right, I'm learning. So how do you recognize when someone needs your support? They're more withdrawn, they start canceling plans, they often seem totally exhausted, or D, all of the above. I will publish the results. 100%, all of you 100% got it correct. Very cool, very cool. All right, thanks for playing along there. I got it one more for you. So the next question is, how do you support someone? Oh, it looks like you guys already, no, hang on. Here we go. Sorry. How do you support someone who you think is struggling? Ignore it and it'll go away. Because, we don't want to have those awkward conversations. B, ask them what they need from you. Or C, give them the fucking solution, because I know the answer. I've been through this before. I've got the answer. Or D, just show up. Just show up. And yeah, the just show up is absolutely the correct answer. Hey, Justin, how are you doing, man? We're having a party over at mikecameron.ca/live. We're doing some polls over there, playing around with this new technology, and yeah, having a little bit of fun. So again, I don't want to make this too onerous for you guys, but I appreciate you hopping over to mikecameron.ca, where I actually get to, I own the content I produce. I get to decide who gets to see it. All right, so we got 4 votes for just show up, hold space when someone is struggling. So perfect. I am going to publish the results. 100% just show up. So thanks a lot, guys. That was a lot of fun. I hope you enjoyed that a little bit. Trying to do something a little bit different here, get a little bit more interaction, a little bit more engagement from you guys. As you well know, I like to interact. I am not so much, hey, Karina, how are you? Not so much about just presenting information. I like to have more conversation with you guys. Okay, so let's dive in a little bit further. How do we know how to be a good friend, even when we don't know what to do? So the first thing, as we just talked about, is being able to recognize when a friend needs some support and just being able to look for those signs. I think intuitively, most of us know when someone is struggling. The challenge becomes this, well, I don't know what to do, and I don't want to make it fucking awkward for these guys. I don't want to maybe bring it up because, again, I don't have the answers. I don't know what to do, and I really don't want to make them feel uncomfortable. But the reality is they already feel uncomfortable. So bringing it up, acknowledging it, is probably the best thing that you can do. Obviously, you want to respect boundaries. There's certainly going to be a time and a place, and there is certainly going to be, again, depends on the level of friendship, how tight you are with that individual. They may or may not be comfortable having that conversation with you. But by simply acknowledging, and that's really the first piece of this puzzle, is to simply acknowledge the struggle. Sometimes it is more clear than other times, the loss of a loved one. And I ran into this a lot after Colleen was killed, that it's really awkward, or can feel really awkward for you as a supporter, as a friend, when someone is grieving, because again, you just don't know what to say. Shane says, sometimes just being heard or having someone present is what it takes. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But start by acknowledging that pain. Good morning, Michelle. How are you? Start by acknowledging that pain. Start by acknowledging that discomfort, even if you don't know what to do. And maybe especially if you don't know what to do. So like I said, the first thing is really recognizing when somebody's struggling, when somebody's in pain. And again, it doesn't have to be this, if we're on a scale of 0 to 100, we don't have to wait till they're at 100 from a level of pain to acknowledge that. I mean, even if somebody's at a 10, you can still acknowledge that, hey, dude, it looks like something's maybe going on for you, and I just want to acknowledge that. I don't know if you want to talk about it or not, but I just want to let you know I'm noticing that maybe something's a little off for you, and I just want to let you know I'm here. So acknowledge that. Again, in the case of the loss of a loved one, where it's kind of a little more obvious, a little more in your face, grief kind of concept, then absolutely acknowledge that. Acknowledge that that person is in pain. Acknowledge that you don't know what to say. I talk about this often. One of the best emails I got back after Colleen was killed, I was talking to my friend Warren McDonald, who I think you guys have met before on here. And Warren and I were planning a concert together, and he had reached out to me, and obviously I had to explain to him, it was like right after this had happened. So I had to explain to him what had happened. So I did so in an email, and his response was perfect. 2 words. He's an Aussie. So his response in an email was, fuck, mate. That's it. That's all he had to say, but it was perfect. He acknowledged how terrible it was, and he acknowledged that there were no words. With 2 words, he did that. That's all it took. Fuck, mate. That's it. That's it. And it can be really, really challenging for a supporter when we don't know what to do. And oftentimes, we want to ask the person, well, what do you need? I'm here for you. What can I do for you? What do you need? And I had this conversation yesterday in one of the Facebook groups I'm in. And so that's really one of the main reasons I'm having this conversation today. And in fact, I've had a few of these conversations this last week. The problem with saying, what do you need? What can I do for you? Is now you transfer your burden of wanting to help to the person that's struggling. And that can be a crushing weight. When I was grieving, and people, again, well-intentioned, would surround me, hold me, and said, what can I do for you? What do you need? And all I could think about is, I don't fucking know. And the last thing I want is your homework. You're giving me homework. I need you to, Mike, to figure out what I can do to make you feel better. Yeah, as Shane says, if I knew that, I probably wouldn't be in that spot. If I knew what I needed, I'd just go get it. So no matter how well-intentioned, avoid asking that question. What do you need? What can I do for you? If at all possible. I mean, sometimes there's scenarios where it's appropriate to ask, but better yet, just show up. So again, one of the best things that happened for me was Renee and Krista, 2 ladies that worked with me. They called me up, and this was 2 days after she was killed. And they said, we're coming over. Well, this was the day after, so it was Saturday. They called me and said, we're bringing you coffee and donuts Sunday morning at 10 a.m. Are you going to be home? And that was it. That was all they said. And I said, yeah, I'll be home. So sure enough, 10 a.m. Sunday morning, knock on the door. Krista and Renee came in with coffee and donuts, and we just sat and we sat, and I shared memories. We talked about things. I talked, I got to unload. Or if I didn't feel like talking, I didn't have to talk. I just got to sit there and eat coffee and donuts. And it was perfect. It was perfect. They didn't ask me what I needed. They just showed up. They just showed up. They said, we're here. Here's some coffee and donuts. We're here. And that was probably the most incredible thing at that moment in time. That was exactly what I needed. Somebody to just show up. So this idea of holding space, well, it seems like a very simple concept. And I had this conversation with somebody the other day. This concept of just holding space, just showing up, seems really easy, but it's really fucking hard. And especially for us guys, because oftentimes, you know, we might have the answer. We might have the fix. Good morning, Sabrina. We might have the fix. Like, we may have gone through what they're going through, and we may know the solution. The problem is, not everybody wants the solution. Not everybody's ready for the solution. As Michelle says, just acknowledging the situation is important. Absolutely. That's what we talked about. That first step is just acknowledging what's going on. Don't avoid it because it's awkward for you. Acknowledge it. But one of the hardest things is the chat needs emojis. I'll see what I can do. See what I can do. I think you can just do the smiley face and it'll convert it. Try that. No, maybe not. Sorry, I digress. So whether or not you've got the solution, whether or not you've got the fix for their problem, not everybody's in a spot to hear that solution. And that can be even more problematic if you're trying to give them the solution when they're not ready for it, or maybe it's not the solution for them. You know, you're certainly welcome to share your experience, but you've got to be very careful that you're doing it in a way that is not preachy, that's not advice giving, that you're legitimately just showing up to hold space for that individual. Again, for guys, we like to fix things. We want to fix things. I've got the answer. I've got the answer. I've got the answer. And we see this a lot with partners, intimate relationships. Babe, I know the answer. I've been through this. Just do X, Y, and Z and it'll be fixed. Chances are your partner doesn't need you to tell them about X, Y, and Z in order to fix things. They just need you to be there. And understand that maybe tomorrow somebody else will come along and say X, Y, and Z, and they'll grab it and they'll come back to you and say, hey, I just heard that if I do X, Y, and Z, it would really help me. And you're going to be like, holy shit, dude, I just fucking told you this yesterday. But again, the reality is understanding that sometimes it's the moment in time, it's that time of day, it's the voice, it's the tone, it's the story, it's the way it was presented gets heard just a little bit differently. You know, Michelle and I talk about this all the time because her and I communicate differently. And sometimes when I will say something, it doesn't land for her. And she'll hear the same thing said somewhere else in a slightly different way, and it'll land. So for me, as a helper, a supporter, a guy that does this stuff for a living, I pay attention to that. This is why you'll probably notice that I repeat the same thing over and over and over and over again. And I'll just put a slightly different twist on it, or at least I try to put a slightly different twist on it. Shane says, sometimes a fix requires lumber, hammer, and nails. Other times it just needs a tarp. Yeah, absolutely. But again, the fix isn't yours as the supporter to decide. It's not for you to decide what the fix is. It's just for you to be there. Only the person struggling can decide what that fix is and when the fix is applicable, which again can be super frustrating. But there is such immense power in simply showing up, in simply being there for that loved one, for that person you care about, and acknowledging what's going on. Again, come back to my scenario. I can share a story with you. It was a business case. And again, this was probably the week after Colleen was killed. I had a business meeting. There was 3 of us there, and it was a fairly intense meeting. There was fairly high stakes. And the 2 people on the other side of the table, obviously my grief came up. We talked about it because it was so fresh. It was so brand new. And one of the individuals, even said, "Hey, do we want to reschedule this? Like, are you all right?" And I said, "No, I appreciate you asking, but, I just need to be there. I just need to do something." And this individual asked a few questions and let me talk about my grief. The other individual was very quick to, "All right, let's move on with the business. Let's move on with the business." And the first individual said, "You know what? No, hang on. I've got one more question," and asked me something again about my grief. And let me sort of close off my feeling in that moment. And it was beautiful. It was beautiful, but it was a great demonstration of clearly the other individual wasn't comfortable. Clearly the other individual wasn't comfortable with my grief. So they wanted to move along with the business. And really, I just needed another minute, 60 seconds or so, to allow it to come. Sabrina, the answer is the venting, emotional literacy first, then crank out the solution. And again, when we talk about cranking out the solution, oftentimes the solution is just acknowledging the problem. Oftentimes the solution is just to let it come up, to let it soar. I'm going to go through my acronym again. SOAR, slow down, open up, accept what's coming up so you can reconnect with that inner self. And while simple, it's not easy, but it is so, so powerful. So how to be a good friend, even when you don't know what to do? Acknowledge the situation. Don't ignore it. Don't bury it. Don't pretend it's not there. Acknowledge the situation. Say, "Hey, I noticed X, Y, and Z. I have no idea what to say, but I just want to let you know I'm here for you. Have a donut." It's okay to say that I don't know what to say. There are no words. Like, I have no clue what to say, but I'm here for you. Go make them a pot roast. Go buy them a pizza. Do something thoughtful. Do something kind. Bring them a flower. And yeah, dudes, you could bring guys flowers. Why not? It'd be something to talk about, wouldn't it? That would certainly break the cycle, break the pattern, break that. It's that pattern interrupt, right? When I'm feeling down, I'm feeling shitty, I need some kind of pattern interrupt. I need something to break me out of that. I'll tell you what, some dude shows up at my doorstep with a flower for me, a friend of mine. that's going to break that pattern. Shane, here's a flower, brother. I have no idea what to say or what to do, but I'm here for you, man. How powerful is that? How powerful is that? All right, my friends. Todd, how are you? I hope you guys will go back and watch this on the replay. It will be up at mikecameron.ca as well. I hope you'll check out the website. I do post a lot of different content there. If you sign up for the website, there's some exclusive material. Again, it's all free. It's all free. I give away far too much for free, but it's all on the website. mikecameron.ca. I hope you will join me there. As always, my friend, continue to make beautiful shit happen and have yourself a fantastic day. And let's see if we can't fade out again with a little bit of music.